Aloha, good afternoon. Joint Committees on Education and Economic Development. Today's date is March the 22nd. The time is 2:00 p.m. and we are in conference room 309. One bill on our joint agenda today. First up, SB 3190 SD2 regarding fish hatcheries pilot program within the Department of Education. First up, DOE in support.
Good afternoon, Chairs Woodson, Quinlan, and Vice Chairs Capella and Holt, and members of the committee. I'm Terry Ushijima, Interim Assistant Superintendent with the Department of Education. We stand on our written testimony and support SB 3190 S2. Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony in support of this bill.
Thank you so much for being here. Next, we have DLNR providing testimony in support via Zoom.
Aloha, chairs, vice chairs, committee members. Brian Nielsen with the Division of Aquatic Resources. We stand on our written testimony in support of this measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have BNF providing testimony, offering comments. We have Malama Pupukea Waimea providing testimony in support. Environmental Caucus of Democratic Party of Hawaii in support. Two testimonies, individual testimony, both in support. So anyone else wishing to provide testimony on this bill, SB 3190 SD2. Questions? Do we have quorum? Okay, we will continue until we have quorum. Okay. Quick recess. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Reconvening for decision making on one bill, SB 3190 SD2, fish hatchery pilot program within Department of Education. Members that would like to pass this with the HD1, defecting the date to July 1st, 2005-1. Questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote, please.
Voting on SB 3190 SD2, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Bellotti? Excused. Representative Casales? Aye. Representative Clark? Excused. Representative Ganadin? Excused. Representative Gates? Excused. Representative Hashimoto?
Aye.
Noting the President's Majority Leader, Representative Bellotti? Aye. Representative Ono?
Aye.
Representative Quinlan?
Aye.
Representative Takayama?
Aye.
Representative Yamane?
Aye.
Representative Okimoto? Aye. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members.
ECD, same recommendation. Members, questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
Great. Chair's recommendation to pass the Waianae Special SB 3190 with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Bellotti?
Aye.
Representative Kobayashi is excused. Representative Onishi? Aye. Representative Sayama?
Aye.
Representative Takayama?
Aye.
Representative Okimoto?
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Thank you, Chair. Education members, moving on to SB 3280 SD1. This is a spur for St. Joseph. First up on our list, we have BNF providing comments. We also have Cardinal Legacy Foundation and support. That's all I have. Members, any questions for this spur? Seeing none, moving on to the next bill, we have SB 2612 SD2 regarding environmental sustainability. This is a utensils pilot program for DOE on the island of Molokai. First up on our list, we have DOE providing testimony and support.
Good afternoon, Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Capella, members of the committee. Randy Tanaka, Department of Education, Facilities and Operations. We support this bill. I've actually seen it in action at Molokai. It's a good program to begin to build the concept of sustainability with our kids. So I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Next, we have BNF providing comments. We have Beach in support via Zoom. we have,
Sorry, was I being called? I can't hear here.
yes, please go ahead.
Okay. It's extremely noisy outside. Sorry about that. Aloha Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Capella, and committee members. I'm Suzanne Fraser, co-founder of Beach Environmental Awareness Campaign Hawaii Beach, speaking on behalf of Beach in support of SB 2612 SD2. Every single school throughout Hawaii should be using reusable utensils. This is the most cost-effective, efficient way to provide utensils. Dishwashing machines can be purchased to ensure that the utensils are properly sterilized. As long as pods are not put in the dishwasher, then no plastic pollution is being created. I'm concerned that this is only a pilot project for 11 months. Once the utensils and dishwashing machines are purchased, there shouldn't be any need for further funding. So I was wondering why this is only 11 months. What will happen to the equipment and utensils after that? It should be a permanent change to the way schools operate. And use of reusable utensils needs to be implemented and required in every school throughout Hawaii. This is such an easy step towards plastic reduction. It's sad that schools changed from metal to plastic in the first place. It's so wasteful in both cost to the environment and cost. As one testifier wrote, $500,000 has been used on disposable plastic at the charter school in Molokai over the last 20 years. And a huge amount of plastic waste has been added to the landfill as a result. There are 294 schools in Hawaii in the DOE. If you times that by $500,000, it comes out as $147 million over the past 20 years used on disposable utensils, plates, and cups. I'd like to see this bill amended to go beyond a pilot project to a permanent change to all schools throughout Hawaii. A mandate to stop wasting taxpayer money on disposable unnecessary plastic in schools and to put in place reusable utensils, plates, and cups. Thank you for this opportunity to provide testimony.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next, we have Kuala Pu or Kuala Pu'u School providing testimony in support. We have individual testimony from 3 people, all in support. Is there anyone else wishing to provide testimony on this bill? Seeing none, members, are there any questions? Quick question for DOE. Thank you again for being here. One of the testifiers indicated that they might also need CIP money to order to adhere to this proposal. Is that something that you're coordinating with the schools?
So we've looked at the first program that a classroom, a grade did on Molokai. There, we analyzed the intended consequences. It's the intended that we haven't completely figured out yet. There's some savings, obviously, in what was stated in form. So I'm not sure yet, Chair, but it's about scale. You know, it's easy to do it for one class. Our intention is to spread it throughout the rest of the school, then island-wide, then scale it up to the rest of the counties.
Okay, thank you, S.K.S. Tanaka.
Thank you.
Members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, moving on to the next bill, SB 3096 SD1 HD1. This is an EA for a innovation center specific for ag. First up, we have DOE providing testimony in support.
Thank you, Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Capella, members of the committee. We stand by our testimony. We think this is a great opportunity looking forward as we build the new kind of ag in our state. And this facility will allow us to do that.
Thank you for being here. Next, we have Waimea High School and affiliates providing testimony in support.
Aloha. My name is Nina Ongwai, and I'm the principal at Waimea High School in Kauai. Please note the other 11 organizations who have signed onto this written testimony with us in support of SB 3096 SD1 and HD1. Kekaha Elementary, Ele Elementary, Kalaheo Elementary, Koloa Elementary, King Kaumoli'i Elementary, Kilauea School, Kamehameha Schools, Kauai Community College, Education Incubator, Ivikua, and Kumano Keala. We see this as an opportunity to establish a space where Waimea High School and our partners lead the effort to restore our land and people. We want to scale and grow the current working model we enjoy with our grant partners, Kauai Community College and Ivikua. We feel that this collaborative model of resource sharing has far-reaching benefits for not only the island of Kauai, but the entire state. We plan to use the Mana property to offer quality and impactful educational services. We see this as an opportunity to establish a space where we literally and figuratively grow seedlings and fingerlings to replenish and restore our Mauka upland and Waimea River, creating Aina Momona in an area that's been the site of extraction on West Kauai. We want Waimea High School and our partners to lead the effort to restore our land and people, as our vision is to create a regenerative space where we would, 1, grow the next generation of farmers, 2, establish a wellness center in collaboration with our health academy, Ivikua and Kumano, 3, create a satellite KCC site, 4, keep the processing part of the BEX facility operational and open it up to all farmers on the west side to process their produce for sale, and 5, grow out some of our current CTE pathways and invite business partners to set up shop on the property, utilizing their equipment, expertise, and experience to create classrooms where our teachers and students learn and work alongside industry professionals. Mahalo for your support of SB 3096, SD1, and HD1.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Department of Ag providing testimony and support.
Aloha chairs and vice chairs and members of the committee, Phyllis Shimabukuro Geyser, Chairperson, Hawaii Department of Agriculture. We stand on our written testimony supporting the intent, and we defer to the Department of Education. Available to answer any questions. Mahalo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next, we have County of Hawaii providing testimony and support. We have Hawaii Corp Improvement Association providing testimony and support. Hawaii Cattlemen's Council providing testimony and support. Hawaii Farm Bureau in support.
Good afternoon, Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Capella, members of the committee. Brian Miyamoto here on behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bureau. You have a written testimony which is in support. Chair, we appreciate this committee hearing this bill and the following 2 bills that's addressing ag education and our aging workforce. We need to reconnect our students with agriculture. If we're going to grow the industry, if we're going to double our food production, if we're going to meet many of those agricultural goals that the state is setting. So we're extremely excited about this Ag Innovation Center that's going to teach the business of farming, not just how to grow the crops, but also all the other things that come with farming, the business training that's needed and the value added component. So we do ask this committee for the support, and thank you again, Chair, for hearing these agriculture education bills. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you so much for being here. Next, we have Hawaii Climate Change Mitigation and Adaptation Commission providing testimony and support. That's all I have. Members, are there any questions? Majority Leader, go ahead.
DOE, please. Why does this need to be an emergency appropriation?
When we introduced it, the opportunity was, we weren't in session yet, and the opportunity was there. So the track we were advised to go through is emergency appropriation through the governor's office.
Who advised you to do that?
The Kauai farm folks and some of our legislative partners who had interest in this.
And is this then to be put into the 2021? Are you looking for general funds, CIP? It's kind of confusing.
We leave that to your wisdom.
Is this have to be done with 2021 funds because of any kind of agreement with the BEX in order to take over the BEX facility?
The year the money comes out of, I've no knowledge of that part. The urgency we have is the property could be, or the building could be sold to someone else, but that still has to go through a number of ADC prerequisites because it's on ADC land.
And is this the contract where it could just be turned over to the state so we wouldn't have to expend funds?
I don't think that has not been part of the discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you, Majority Leader, Vice Chair.
Mr. Tanaka, thank you so much. Yes. I have a question, just because this building used to be owned by an agrochemical company.
Yes.
Can you guarantee that seed companies like the former owner of the building will have absolutely no, I guess, connection to any of the development of the programming or what's offered in that building. Because they're known for pesticide abuse. And I think as a state, we need to step away from that.
As we would be the owner of that building, and our intention is to advance the technology and education for our kids, that you're doing farming in a very different fashion, we would be in control of that. So our intention is not to mix that kind of socially disruptive discussions. We want to keep within the envelope of education. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, moving on to the next bill, we have SB 2928 SD3. This is Ag Pathways Working Group and the Department of Education. First up, we have DOE in support.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, Terry Ushijima again here. We stand on our written testimony in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Next, we have University of Hawaii providing testimony and support. We have BNF providing comments. Hawaii Farm Bureau in support.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Brian Miyamoto here on behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bureau. We'll stand on a written testimony in support.
Thank you for being here. That's all I have. Is there any other testifiers? Members, any questions? Again, these bills are pretty straightforward. Moving on to SB 2182 SD1. This is School Garden Coordinator. First up, we have DOE providing testimony in support.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, Terry Ushijima again. We stand on our written testimony in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. BNF providing default comments. Department of Health in support. Center for Getting Things Started in support. Hawaii Farm Bureau in support.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. The Hawaii Farm Bureau will stand on its written testimony in support.
Thank you for being here, sir. Hawaii Farm to School, Hawaii, providing testimony and support.
Aloha mai kākou, Lydie Bernal, coordinator of the Hawaii Farm to School Hui with Hawaii Public Health Institute. We strongly support this bill, noting that a school garden coordinator would provide critical coordination support in order to ensure regular and equitable access for all DOE students to high quality garden and farm-based education, which is one of the 5 purposes of the Hawaii Farm to School program established within DOE by the legislature during the 2021 session via Act 175. Thank you very much for hearing this bill, and we urge your support. Mahalo.
Thank you for being here. Next, we have Local Food Coalition providing testimony and support.
Good afternoon, Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Capella, and members of the committee. Kendall Matsuyoshi on behalf of the Local Food Coalition. We will stand on our testimony in support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Food Policy Internship in support. We have Hawaii Youth Food Council in support. Grow Some Good.
Aloha. Sorry, I'm here to provide testimony on behalf of the Hawaii Youth Food Council.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. So good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. I hope you guys are having an incredible day today. My name is Tyler Levine, and again, I am testifying here on behalf of the Hawaii Youth Food Council in support of this bill. As a student who has literally grown from the foundation of my school garden, like a seed literally sprouting from the soil, I understand both the instrumental and intrinsic value of immersing students in such an environment, from increased levels of academic achievement to an increased sense of place and awareness for self. School gardens provide a conduit from contemporary education, giving students the opportunity to learn about all faculties of life and society as they connect through the common ground of growing food. This form of experiential learning sparks interest, prompts questions, and cultivates curiosity, hereby, I think, inspiring a new generation of farmers and food advocates. So in conclusion, really to build capacity within the DOE and thus to ensure equitable access for all students to high quality garden and farm-based education, the establishment of a school garden coordinator is essential. Thank you for listening to my testimony.
Thank you so much for being here. That's what free-flowing instruction like this proposal offers can help foster that kind of individual who appears to be ready for college. Moving on, so we have next Hawaii Climate Change Mitigation in support, Hawaii Food Industry Association in support, and we have about a dozen and a half, actually a dozen plus one individuals all providing testimony in support. Is there anyone else wishing to provide testimony? Okay, seeing none, members, any questions? Okay, seeing none, moving on to the next bill, SB 2818 SD2 Summer Learning Coordinator. First, we have Department of Education providing testimony and support.
Good afternoon again, Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Capella, and members of the committee. Terry Ushijima, we stand on our written testimony in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Hawaii Public Library System providing testimony and support. BNF providing comments. County of Hawaii in support. Hawaii After School Alliance in support via Zoom. Okay.
Hi, Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Capella, and members of the committee. I'm Jennifer Masutani, testifying on behalf of the Hawaii After School Alliance. I'm here to support SB 2818 SD2 that will establish the position of Summer Learning Coordinator. The DOE is allocating about $20 million to summer for the next few years, thanks to the American Rescue Plan. And this is a great investment for our students, but our schools need more support to execute those summer programs at the quality that our students deserve. We need to make sure that the students who need it most are accessing these programs. And if there are multiple programs happening at each school, ensure that they're aligned and working with each other instead of competing for students. So having statewide coordination can help address those issues. I also want to share a quick story about a youth named Ifet who attended the Puakaya Ulu summer program, which is an Aina-based program in Waianae last year. And they couldn't say enough positive things about this program. To paraphrase their words, they was able to gain intimate knowledge of place and learn about the history and the culture of Waianae in ways that they weren't able to before. So summer presents this chance for our students to continue learning in these innovative and engaging ways like Aina-based learning that can go beyond the four walls of a classroom. And these high quality summer programs are possible, but our schools need just some more support and capacity. And the Summer Learning Coordinator will be able to provide that. Thank you for this opportunity to testify.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Hawaii Association of School Psychologists in support. We have Hawaii Children's Action Network Speaks in support. Hawaii After School Alliance in support. We have CARES Arts and Recreation Education Services in support. And we have 4 individuals. Oh, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Dear Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Zhizi Xiong, and I'm testifying in support of this bill on behalf of my organization, CARES. We are registered with the Hawaii After School Alliance. For the purpose of addressing what was not explicitly outlined to be implemented by the DOE Summer Coordinator, I'd like to highlight trauma-informed care, and social-emotional learning as subject matters of consideration to be explored for the Summer Coordination Plan and for services to be provided for students. Oftentimes, teachers, parents, and program coordinators put an overemphasis on academics instead of addressing students' need for nurture, care, social development, and mental health awareness. At after-school and summer programs, students participate in extracurricular activities. They spend their time developing relationships with their friends and teachers, processing emotions, and growing socially and emotionally. It is all part of the healthy process of transitioning from student to adult. Social stressors are inevitable. Bullying, ostracizing, domestic abuse, family drama, these are the sources of trauma for students. It is vital to recognize students are not capable of processing and healing on their own. It is an educator's duty to point ahead to what's to come and if there's a gap to be addressed. In many instances, it is not an opportunity gap creating a disparity. in access to quality education and resources that causes students to be unsuccessful. In many instances, students are unsuccessful because they do not have adequate support outside of school. In a recent panel, Lieutenant Governor Green said trauma was going to be the most significant challenge we will have to recover from because of the pandemic. Trauma has an enormous impact on students' study patterns, mental acuity, concentration, and cognitive functioning. If the legislature and DOE will help to address the inevitable trauma students must face, they will have succeeded in affecting healthy development in students, uplifting student spirits, creating mental and emotional stability in our keikis, and consequently, it will help students to excel academically and then become positive contributors to society. I will yield now because of time. Please read my testimony and feel free to ask me any questions. Thank you for the chance to testify.
Thank you so much for your testimony. We have 4 individuals all providing testimony in support. Is there anyone else wishing to provide testimony on SB 2818 SD2? Members, questions? Quick question for DOE. Thank you so much again for being here. So per
Yes, Chair.
the previous testifier, she indicated that these types of support services help out with scholastic improvement potentially. Within the construct of the normal school day, what types of services or programs are available for students that are struggling outside of the school day that might be addressed within the parameters of regular school operations?
So we have our Office of Student Support Services. And as part of the services that are provided that are available at the schools, it depends on the student needs, but there's, the school level counseling, or if they're needed, SBBH, student behavioral supports. I'm sorry, I don't remember the acronym exactly, but if they have more, I guess, intense needs, then appropriate counseling is provided by various health specialists. And it's coordinated with the school teams who consult also with the teachers who involve parents and provide a plan for the students to offer the needed services.
But you concur that this is a good complement. This proposal is a good complement to what you offer.
And yes, actually, during our current summer programs, that's one of the areas that we do include specialized student services. That is a major area that is included to provide well-rounded services to meet the needs of our students.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, moving on to the next bill, we have SB 2893 SD1 School Supply Subsidy Pilot Program. First up on our list, we have DOE in support.
Good afternoon, Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Capella, and members of the committee. I'm Kara Tanimura, Interim Assistant Superintendent for the Office of Strategy, Innovation, and Performance, testifying on behalf of Superintendent Keith Hayashi from the Department of Education. The department stands on its written testimony in support of this measure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Next, we have Vienna providing testimony, offering comments. HSTA in support.
Aloha Committee Chair and members of the committee. Laverne Moore speaking on behalf of Osatui Jr., President of the Hawaii State Teachers Association. The Hawaii State Teachers Association supports this bill, and we believe it is very important to help our schools in the Title I area that has low funding, and the parents really need help with this. HST has previously surveyed our members and found that 47% of our teachers spend between $250, $500 a year to supply supplies in the classroom. Many of them go over $1,000. I spend over $1,000 a year, and I teach at McKinley High School. And we believe that this is unacceptable, and we agree with this one-year pilot to help our Title I schools that need extra funding for school supplies. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you for being with us today. That's all I have on my list. Is there anyone else? Seeing none, members, are there any questions? Okay, go ahead. Yes, tomorrow. Oh, sorry.
Thank you so much for appearing today. What kind of supplies are we talking about? Are we talking about the things that we might normally associate with everyday learning, pencils, pens, notepads, backpacks, that kind of things? Or are we talking about
name it.
like technical equipment like what we're using today?
In my classroom, I do not even have a laptop for my students. I bring my personal computers, my laptops to school, my iPad, so that my students would have the extra technology to do the work. Every morning I have to borrow 5 laptops from the teacher down below, but my class is made up of 20 special ed students. And so with my technology that I bring from home and the 5, I still have students using their cell phone to do research. I teach US history, economics, American problems. It's so important that they have the updated research so that they can perform and be equipped for the world outside. Pencils, pens, papers, I supply everything. They come to school without it. Every day they get a new one. And when they go home, a younger brother and sister take it. They truly don't have the money for those supplies. I do the menstrual. I even feed them. They come to school without eating. Books, I buy tablets for them. I buy even PE shoes for them. They're so poor, they can't afford to buy shoes so that they can pass PE. And the teachers say, if you don't wear shoes, you're gonna flunk. So I take them to Walmart and I buy them shoes so that they can prepare and pass PE. And it's just me. A lot of my peers do the same thing, and people don't know how we go the extra mile so that our students can be successful and pass. Yes, so, and these schools in the neighbor islands, the Title I school, supplies are super expensive. And the parents cannot afford it. And the schools need it. That is why they came in for extra funding for the Title I schools under the, sugars, I forgot. But they came in with legislation to ask for extra funding for the not hard to staff, but the schools on the outside. We need the money. We truly need the money. Thank you.
Can I follow up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for explaining that. The work that you're doing is obviously beyond teaching and more closely associated with a whole bunch of other services. I'm going to ask a dumb question. Is this tax deductible?
No, that I'm really upset with the Republicans. They took away that. Before I could do it. Now today I cannot.
So this comes out of your paycheck.
This comes out of.
And then even if you were to collect all your receipts, try and get reimbursed for it, you cannot account for this unless you were to say create your own nonprofit or your own business or something like that, right?
Yeah, my tax accountant said it went out of the window. So it's aloha. It's a gift to my students.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Representative. And Ms. Moore, in terms of the hardware, the computers, you should be, the DOE should offer you either a Chromebook or an Apple computer. So reach out to your principal or your CAS. If that's not the case, you don't have to speak to it, but just if that's not the case, then just let us know after the hearing. But I believe that all students are offered that. Okay, thank you so much. Any other questions? Seeing none, moving on to SB 2816. SD2, this is the Strong Students Grant Pilot Program. First, we have DOE and support.
Good afternoon again, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. Terry Ushijima. We stand on our written testimony with comments on SB 2816 SD2. The Strong Student Grant Program would divert a significant amount of resources that could otherwise be equitably allocated by the department to all students. Thank you.
Providing comments, duly noted. Thank you so much. Charter schools, the Charter School Commission in particular, providing testimony and support.
Good afternoon, Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Capella, members of the committee, we stand on our written testimony in support of this bill, and we thank you very much for the inclusion of our public charter school students in this new program. Thank you.
Thank you. We have BNF providing comments. Hawaii Kids Can in support.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Thank you so much for this substantive discussion throughout session. I just want to point out a couple things. We stand on our written testimony in support. We don't believe the funding would be duplicative. In fact, by definition, it would allow families to fill those pukas. We think it actually takes some of the pressure off of educators. As you hear from earlier, our educators are having to fill so many different roles and wear so many different hats. And so this would actually provide the parents with some of those opportunities to support their kids instead. We don't think it needs the full appropriation that the department outlines. In fact, the amount that we would recommend is just 0.2% of the DOE's total budget. We have spoken with some partners around the country who've supported SCAs before, so I don't think this is reinventing the wheel. I think our kids and families need and deserve our help. Equity doesn't mean that we need to go to our lowest common denominator. It means we help kids no matter how we can. So thanks again for the opportunity to testify. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Next, we have HSTA in opposition. No.
Laverne Moore, speaking on behalf of Oso Turi Jr., President of the Hawaii State Teachers Association, we respectfully oppose this bill, for we feel that it is funneling money that is needed in the schools to a private entity. And when you look at what is being set up and what you have to go through in order to have the parents qualify, you have to go through their tax receipts, and you have to find a third party to administer this program. We would be better off giving the money to the schools in order to provide for the needs of our students right now in the public schools. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. We also have testimony from Ms. Valentine from Hawaii Kids Can, also in support. That's all I have. Is there anyone else wishing to provide testimony? Members, any questions? Quick question for Hawaii Kids Can. Mr. Miyashiro, if you can speak to HSTA's concern.
Yeah, so I think as I mentioned before, I think the testimony that Ms. Moore provided is truly heartbreaking. As a former teacher, I know what it's like to have to talk to those kids about some of the basic needs that they may or may not have. So our hope with this is to actually streamline this process for families themselves, so they actually have a structured state program where they can get the help that they need. And we don't need our teachers to have to go to Walmart and to try to help our kids, pulling from their own pocket. So again, we think that this program can and should be set up in a way that's streamlined and helps families get the help that they need.
Is there a way to make sure that it doesn't go to private sector or private school kids?
Yeah, I think by definition, these programs can be set up so there's a wide range of eligibility. You can narrow that as you need if it's not appropriate. If there's anything that would not fit with the Constitution or other kind of requirements, you would just make sure that those would not be considered eligible expenses.
Okay, and should that be done through statute or admin rules?
I think both options could potentially be helpful.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, moving on to the last bill, maybe. This is the last bill, SB 2862, SD1, DOE, and ECs. First up, we have A.S. Tanaka providing testimony in support.
Good afternoon again. Regarding heat abatement is what we've now called it. We have progressed substantially. The challenge we have is appropriate energy electrical infrastructure. The plan is to fulfill what we can at the school levels. The challenge we have is some get and some don't because of the electrical upgrades that we have to do. We did a study in 2017. I started to read the 1,800 pages, but couldn't get through it last night. But we have the electrical assessments ongoing, so we are progressing. And Obviously, it's funding related. I will tell you that there are two new designs on window air conditioning units that have air filters. So our challenges that we had during COVID that we couldn't run the AC and open the doors could be solved with this new technology. So we're moving forward with that. Thank you. Hello.
Thank you so much. Next, we have DNF providing comments. HSTA in support.
Laverne Moore, speaking on behalf of Osaturi Junior, President of the Hawaii State Teachers Association. We support this and we thank you for the past support to cool our schools and ensure air quality, but more needs to be done to complete this task, and it's not complete yet. And our students, teachers, and staff are still suffering. And I know I don't qualify for air conditioner at McKinley High School, and I have 9 fans going in my classroom during the hot season. But the schools who really need it should get it. And thank you for the new system that's going to be put into the schools. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Anyone else wishing to provide testimony on SB 2862 SD1? Comments, members? Quick recess. Thank you, members, for reconvening for decision-making on several bills. First up, we have is SB 3280 SD1. This is the SPURB for St. Joseph. Members, defecting to defective date July 1st, 2055. Questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on SB 3280 SD1. Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes with reservations. Representative Bellotti.
Aye.
Representative Clark. Excused. Representative Costales.
Aye.
Representative Ganadin.
Aye.
Representative Gates.
Aye.
Representative Hashimoto.
Aye.
Representative Ono. Excused. Representative Quinlan.
Aye.
Representative Takayama.
Aye.
Representative Yamane.
Aye.
Representative Okimoto.
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Moving on to SB 2612 SD2, reusable utensils pilot program within DOE. Recommendations to pass as is. Questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on SB 2612 SD2, Chair's recommendation is to pass as is. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Noting the excused absence of Representative Clark and Representative Ono, are there any reservations? Any noes? Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Members, moving on to SB, thank you. Moving on to SB 3096 SD1 HD1. This is a EA for Ag Center admin bill. Recommendations to pass this. Defecting the date July 1st, 2005-1. Questions, comments, concerns? Majority Leader.
Comments. Chair, I'm going to be voting with strong reservations for this bill. The description and explanation as to why this needs to be an emergency appropriation was not satisfactory to me. I think it should be vetted more carefully in the next committee if the next committee should hear it. I draw these conclusions based upon the work that was done by the working group over the summer, where we did a deep dive into ADC lands. And it concerns me that this might be a windfall for a company that whose facilities are going to revert back to the state anyway. Oh, I'm sorry. Have I jumped forward? No, I'm on Senate Bill 3096, right?
We're on 3096.
Okay. And so I'm just very concerned. I do support very much our policies to advance farming here in the state. The other two bills that have followed this are very much in line with those kinds of policies. This one, I'm not quite so sure. So strong reservations, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Go ahead, Chair.
WR.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Vice Chair for the vote, please.
Voting on SB 3096 XD2 HD1. Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments, noting the excused absence of Representatives Clark and Ono and the reservations of Representatives Bellotti and Takayama. Are there any other reservations? Any noes? Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Moving on to SB 2928 SD3 Ag Pathways Working Group. Members would like to pass this, defecting the date July 1st, 2005-1. Questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote, please.
Voting on SB 2928 SD3. Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye, noting the excused absence of Representatives Clark and Ono. Are there any other reservations? Any noes? Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Moving on to SB 2182 SD1 School Garden Coordinator and the Department of Education. July 1st, 2051 defective date. Questions, comments, concerns? For the vote, please.
Voting on SB 2182 SD1, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye, noting the excused absence of Representatives Clark and Ono. Are there any reservations? Any noes? Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Moving on to SB 2818 SD2 Summer Learning Coordinator, defecting the date July 1st, 2005-1. Questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on SB 2818 SD2, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye, noting the excused absence of Representatives Ono and Clark. Are there any reservations? Any noes? Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Moving on to SB 2893 SD1 School Supply Pilot Program, defecting the date July 1st, 2051. Questions, comments, concerns?
Sure.
Please go ahead.
Thank you again to Ms. Moore and the Hawaii State Teachers Association for your testimony. I know it's echoed by dozens of teachers throughout the state who teach in Title I schools. As the son of a special education teacher, I remember making numerous trips at Target and Walmart for these kinds of things. I think that we should prioritize this bill moving forward in forthcoming discussions of the budget. It's can be something of an anti-poverty measure where a little bit goes a long way to help students stay in school. And in future discussions, maybe we can discuss the tax implications for the items that teachers are having to spend out of their own pockets. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you for your comments. Members, any other questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote, please.
Voting on SB 2893 SD1, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Noting the excused absences of Representatives Clark and Ono, are there any reservations? Any noes? Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Moving on to SB 2816 SD2. Members, we're going to incorporate language that states that funding, this funding cannot be used in any way, shape, or form for private schools and private school operations. We're going to put that in legal language, of course, and technical non-substantive changes effective the date to July 1st, 2005. Questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on SB 2816 SD2, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes with reservations. Noting the excused absences of Representatives Ono and Clark, are there any other reservations? Any noes? Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Moving on to last bill, SB 2862, SD1, DOE and ACs, effective the date July 1st, 2005. Questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on SB 2862 SD1, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Noting the excused absences of Representatives Clark and Ono, are there any reservations? Any noes? Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thanks, members. Thanks, everybody.